Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound podcast quick picks video for UFC London. Evloev taking on Murphy in the main event, and you know what we're here to do. Rapid fire style, full card breakdown. My confidence in each fight is at the bottom. Let's dive right into the early prelims. We've got Mario Pinto here taking on Felipe Franco. Give me Mario Pinto here. Franco stepping up on heavyweight for the first time. Never seen him fight at heavyweight, but he doesn't look that good at 205. Pinto is a well-rounded fighter. He's going to be bigger than Franco and also very well-rounded, shown that he can mix in the grappling. He's decent on the feet, 11-0 confidence. I feel good that Mario Pinto gets this one done. Confident pick from me here. And next up, we've got Melissa Mullins taking on Luana Carolina. I think both women credentialed on the ground, credentialed on the feet. However, I give Carolina the slight edge. I think she's a little bit more athletic. I think on the feet, she should be able to land the better shots. And I think Mullins is far too hittable and struggles if fights don't hit the mat. So give me Luana Carolina here in a slight lean to get this one done. And next up, we've got Al-Shawadi taking on Shaheem Rock. I lean to Rock here. I think he should be able to get this one done. Al-Shawadi, we haven't seen him in a long time. Who knows what injuries he's had and what his layoff has become. With Rock here, he's training with Paddy Pimblett and those guys over at Next Generation MMA. And I think that he should come in a little bit more focused here. He needs to be aggressive. He needs to be able to mix in the ground game. And I think Al-Shawadi will oblige. I think that this fight will end up on the mat where Rock can get his ground game going. In a slight lean here, not necessarily confident in either gentleman to get the victory. And next up, we've got Mantas Contradivisius taking on Antonio Tricali. And give me Mantas here. I think he should be able to get this one done on the feet. Tricali is far too hittable. Tall man defense. He struggles on the feet. And if he can't get this fight to the mat, then Tricali's got absolutely no hope. Give me Contradivisius here to get this one done. I think he finds the knockout. Confident pick here for UFC London. And next up, we've got Brando Perisic taking on Louis Sutherland. I like Perisic. I think he's a nice addition to the UFC. Sutherland doesn't tend to have one-shot power, whereas Perisic does. And I do think he's the better kickboxer, and I don't see a way that Sutherland's going to be able to keep Perisic off him. On the feet, I think that he carries the power. I think he's a little bit more athletic, and I think that he can mix in the wrestling against Sutherland if he wants to. Give me Brando Perisic here in a medium-level confidence pick to get this one done. And next up, we've got Lucin Kaita taking on Nathaniel Wood. I like Wood to get this one done. I think Kaita is a little bit too much power and he loads up on that power. He doesn't tend to be technical. He likes to throw those big shots, and I think Nathaniel Wood can duck under those shots, get the level changes, and ultimately mix in the wrestling here. We've seen Nathaniel Wood get cracked in the past, but 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2 in MMA. And the thing with Nathaniel Wood here, he's more well-rounded. I think he's got the better cardio, fought the better competition, and I think it's kind of crazy here. I think he's being overlooked here as an underdog, and I think that he can definitely mix in the grappling. He can have more volume than Kaita. And obviously with Kaita as well, we saw him miss weight and obviously get his UFC debut cancelled. So who knows what his cardio is going to look like if Wood's able to push a pace with the wrestling. Give me Nathaniel Wood here to get this one done in a medium level confidence pick. And next up, we've got Raven Oliveira here taking on Chanel Dyer. I like Dyer's Muay Thai style, her ability to kick the legs. And I think Oliveira here is really just a 1-2 and an ability to mix in takedowns. Shania should be able to keep this one on the feet. She's got a lot more weapons on the feet. She's a lot more technical. Only a slight lean to her. Obviously, she did lose on the Contender Series, but I think Chanel Dyer should be able to pull this one off. Oliveira is not UFC level, and she's coming off of a long layoff. And next up, we've got Axel Soler here taking on Mason Jones, and I like Jones to get this one done. I think Soler obviously now is rightful weight class here at 155. I think Mason Jones can defend the takedowns, keep this one on the feet and make it dirty, get in the clinch, land elbows, stomp on the feet. I think on the feet, they're going to be pretty much having a back and forth exchange in terms of the kickboxing. I think we're going to be looking at fight of the night here. Axel Soler looking to get this one to the ground. Mason Jones defending takedowns, getting takedowns of his own. And I trust the Welsh Dragon here to be able to get this one done in a slight lean in front of the UK crowd. And next up, we've got Michael Venom Page here taking on Sam Patterson. What the hell are we doing here? Sam Patterson is getting knocked out. Michael Venom Page here by knockout on the feet. Should be how I see this one. I think he should definitely be able to find the chin of Patterson, who's proven to be chinny in the past. I think this is far too much of a step up in competition, even at a lower weight class here at 170 for Michael Venom Page. I think that his style is going to translate very well into this fight. Very confident in him this week to get this one done via knockout against Sam Patterson. And next up, we've got Danny Silva taking on Curtis Campbell, and I slightly lean to Curtis Campbell. I think he's a little bit more well-rounded. Danny Silva, more of a volume boxer with good takedown defense. I think Curtis Campbell can mix in the kicks, look to take this fight to the ground, and just be a little bit more well-rounded here. I think that he comes out here early, gets in the face of Silva. He needs to be very careful of the boxing of Silva. He does have decent combinations and good counters, but I think that Campbell can use the kicks, mix in the takedowns here, and ultimately win a decision in front of the UK crowd. And next up, we've got Austin Lane taking on Ion Barnowski. I think Barnowski gets this one done, confident in him. Lane coming down to 205 from heavyweight. He was already chinny to begin with. Cutting all that weight, it's going to make him even more chinny against a guy in Barnowski who's got a lot of power in their hands, is looking to give one to get one. And ultimately, I think he ends up finding out the knockout here on Austin Lane. Should be a very, very straightforward fight here. Barnowski gets in the clinch, or he gets into boxing range, lands the big shots here on Austin Lane, and ultimately finds the knockout. 1 + 1 does equal 2 in this one. And next up, we've got Roman Dolidze here taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. And I think Roman Dolidze has fallen in love with the striking. And I think that's going to be a recipe for disaster here against Christian Leroy Duncan. I think Leroy Duncan on the feet is going to be far too athletic, far too fast, and ultimately can defend the takedowns of Dolidze, keep this one standing, and ultimately find the kill shot, or pretty much win a unanimous decision here from pillar to post, outstriking Roman Dolidze. And Dolidze, don't get me wrong, he's tough and he can grapple, but Christian Leroy Duncan's done a good job of keeping fights standing in the past. I think he does that here and ultimately either finds the knockout or he's able to outlast Dolidze on the feet, winning the striking exchanges and ultimately winning a decision. And that brings us to the co-main event. And if you're enjoying the content, hit that like and subscribe button, as we got to go with Luke Riley here over Michael Aswell. I like Luke Riley. He does a good job of being able to kind of weather a storm with the grappling early and ultimately land the kill shot. He's got power in the hands. Obviously, another next-generation fighter here out of Liverpool, training with Paddy Pimblett. And I think Michael Aswell, he's got good takedown defense and great boxing. But I think realistically here, when Riley doesn't have to worry about the takedown, which Aswell is not necessarily known for, he's going to be able to stand and trade. And I think he carries a little bit more pop in his hands. Aswell has good boxing, he has good counters, but he's more of a volume puncher, and I think Luke Riley can capitalize here with his power and ultimately find some sort of knockout here later on in this one. And that brings us to the main event here for UFC London. Give me Lerone, the Miracle Murphy here in the main event. If you're enjoying the content, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you don't like crotch sniffers, you don't like Evloev. This guy likes to take you to the mat. He likes to mix in the wrestling and ultimately lay and pray. And I don't think that's going to sit well with Lerone Murphy in this London crowd. I think Lerone Murphy keeps this one standing. I think he's able to pull off the victory here in front of the UK crowd and finally get his title shot in a medium-level confidence pick. Dog of the week. And if you're enjoying the content, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.